How you guys doing? This is Chandler Quintin. Today is April 30th, the last day in April for the month, and this is the Trade of the Day video. Today we're going to be talking about NetFlix, and Netflix is traditionally not a stock I usually watch that much, but I do have it on a watch list, and because it got beat up so bad after earnings, I believe it was earnings. I have no idea why it went down. I don't follow it that closely. I figured that there might be an upswing soon. Looking at the daily chart with RSI, you're very oversold into the 19 territory, which is really crazy. It'd be a good time to think about getting in, especially because of how strong Netflix usually tends to be, from what I know. So, after watching it the past couple days, I saw the 60-minute RSI dip in the sub-20 region, which is pretty low. And I know a couple people made a trade where they got in on the 28th down here at the bottom when RSI was on the 60-minute chart below 20 and made a nice push forward. Let me show you what that trade would have looked like this past week here. The low was 299, so say you got in for a 310 call. You would have been able to get in here and then out the next day if you held overnight from low of 10 up to 19 or 21.51. So if you invested $10,000, you would have doubled your money pretty much and got in there with, let's see, 10 contracts at $21.50 at the end. You would have walked away with $11,000 profit on that trade. But today, I felt compelled to trade Netflix only because we had some serious oversold territory and a bunch of bounces, which means that I felt as though it was going to be a ripsaw kind of day. We're going down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, my trade I made was right here in the morning when we were down at a RSI of 27. After you see a dip below the 30 range and then a continuation lower, usually it doesn't follow that pattern too many times until you make a big upswing. You get your third part of that pattern down here a couple points lower from when it was over here at a low of 312. You get a low of 311 here. It did go lower, but RSI didn't quite follow it, but then we had a huge move up. I made my trade in here, and I was actually out right here. Very quick trade. It was probably over the span of 20 minutes. Now, if you were to get in at the bottom of today at, let's see, 310 was the low, so maybe you want to be in a 320 call a couple weeks out on the 17th, which is a great one because the premiums are not that bad, and also the delta is pretty high. So you're making 56 cents every dollar the stock goes up with the at the money call. So could have got in at 780 and then rode it out to the end of the day and probably exited around 1250, which would have been a really nice trade of about 60%. So if you invested $10,000 in that trade, you would have walked away with $6,000 on that trade, which would have been really nice because it was very strong the rest of the day through. Now, let me just bring this up onto a bigger chart really quickly so you can see the pattern throughout the day. You had a bunch of pushes up and then a little digestion down, bunch of pushes up and digestion down, and then a large push up here, which is probably where most people would have exited the trade, is right up here at this, looks like a little shoulder pattern right up here. And then, those who braved a fall from 320 down to back to 317 would have been rewarded with a nice push to 322 for the close. But again, there's a lot of places to trade this today. If you look at the 1 minute, pretty much any time it was oversold was a good place to get a nice trade in for a long. You had one right here. You had one right here. You had a little short one right here that was a little bit longer drawn out, which is a little safer. You had this big push throughout the day, obviously, and then you actually had an opportunity to get short right here. You could have pulled the short from 320 down to 317, and if you played that one at the money, you probably would have done the 325 and or maybe even the 320. And you would have done a little bit from 1175 to 13, which would have been, let's see, a 10% trade. So even if you were short, that's not bad on the day. So again, today's was a Netflix day. I'm going to keep my eyes on Netflix, What I'm looking for is the 15-minute RSI to become overbought now for short. I do think that Netflix might move a little bit lower based on what's going on. And with the 15-minute RSI at around 70, it looks like it could happen soon. If you look at a 14-day chart on Netflix, you see when we get very, very overbought here in the 70 to 80 category, we make a large move down. So we'll be looking to make a really nice short. Who knows how long it will be, but we'll see. And if we look to the 60-minute, we'll see that we're climbing. So it might be a little while before we get that trade because we want to see the 60-minute RSI over bought like we have right here on the 22nd, which would have been really solid short down. But we'll see what happens. Again, my name is Chandler Quintin. This has been the Trade of the Day.